All right, everyone. We're going to finish up our basic operations of real numbers today by looking at dividing real numbers. Um, so the rules are very simplifying to or very similar to multiplying real numbers. So these same rules here apply. If the signs are the same when you're dividing, you're going to get a positive answer. So if it's a positive divided by a positive or a negative divided by a negative, you're going to get a positive. Or if you have a positive divided by a negative and a negative divided by a positive, okay, signs are different, you're going to end up with a negative number. All right, so very similar, or actually in this case, the same exact thing as multiplying real numbers. So if you remember from multiplying, this works when multiplying and or dividing. All right, so any combination of multiplying and dividing, if you have an even number of negative numbers, your answer will be positive. If you have an odd number of negative numbers, your answer will be negative. So that's any combination of multiplying or dividing. Remember, if you have any addition or subtraction in there, that completely eliminates this idea, and you would have to do order of operations step by step to figure out what your answer will be. There is one additional rule to remember when dividing, and this is specific to dividing fractions. Okay, we're going to use KCF, or keep, change, flip. Remember when we were subtracting, we used KCC. So a way I remember to differentiate between KCC and KCF is KCF, you think of the F with fractions. All right, they're both F's, so anytime you're dividing fractions, you use keep, change, flip. And what I mean is I'm going to rewrite this first fraction long way. So I'm going to do 2/3 divided by 4/5, which is how I would read that. So when I'm dividing fractions, I keep the first fraction, which is 2/3. I change the sign to multiplication, and I flip the second fraction. All right. Another way you guys may have heard of this is multiplying by the reciprocal. However, I think keep, change, flip's a little easier to remember. So now we are multiplying two fractions. Remember, we just multiply across, right? Not cross multiply. That is incorrect. We multiply across. So it's 2 times 5 over 3 times 4. In this case, gives us 10/12. We can reduce that because 2 goes into both of them. 5 times in the numerator, 6 times in the denominator. That would be our answer. Here's an additional example down here. Again, we rewrite it long way, so it's 1/2 divided by 7/8. Keep the first fraction, change the sign to multiplication, flip the second fraction. So now I have 1 times 8 over 2 times 7, which gives me 8 over 14. Again, 2 goes into both of them, so I divide each of them by 2 to reduce, and I end up with 4/7. So keep, change, flip when dividing fractions. Here's some more practice. All right, so 48 divided by -3. We have a positive divided by a negative, which gives us a negative. Signs are different. So 48 divided by 3 is 16. Signs are different, so it's -16. Here we have a negative divided by a negative, which is a positive. So 39 divided by 13 is just 3. Here we have a fraction divided by a fraction, but it's a positive divided by a negative, which again gives us a negative. Signs are different. We have a negative answer. Then we have to rewrite this as 5/6 divided by -1/2, or 1/5, sorry. I keep the first fraction, I change the sign, I flip the second fraction, I get -25/6, and I will just leave that like that. last one, I have a negative divided by a positive. Again, signs are different here, so I'm going to have a negative answer again. 80 divided by 16. If you do that in your calculator, or if you can do it in your head, we get negative 5. Some other things we have to be concerned with when dividing is when we have fractions under square roots, or just some square roots in general, we need to understand how we solve them. So anytime we have a fraction under a square root, this fraction actually is split up. So we have the square root of 36 over the square root of 49. And if we just type the square root of 36, this is a symbol on your calculator, into our calculators, we get 6 over 7. So we type in separately the square root of 36 and the square root of 49, you'll see you get 6 and 7. And what the square root means is if I did 6 times 6, all right, remember another way of writing that is 6 squared, I get 36. So the square root is the opposite of squaring. If I plug this into your calculator, you'll see you just get 13. And this is known as a perfect square, which we will be going over at some point. Perfect squares are something that's good to remember. I'm not going to worry about that right now because you can just plug the square root of something into your calculator to get a whole number answer. Here, same thing. We rewrite this as the square root of 1 over the square root of 9. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 9 is 3. So our answer down here is 1/3. Hopefully that sums up this lesson pretty well, and you do not have any questions. However, if you do, you know where to find me. All right. Good luck with the CYU and lesson, and I'll see you guys in class.